Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of the Natural Solutions podcast. In today's episode, I'm really excited to share this with you because I'm interviewing Dr. Eddie Fernandes. Well, he's not exactly the kind of doctor you're thinking of. He actually has a doctorate in theology, and he's actually the pastor of my church, and I have been waiting for about a year to interview him. He has gone through so much in the past year, but he's been able to lose about 30 kilos, which is about 62 pounds. He has changed his lifestyle and his nutrition. He has done sports that he never thought he would do before, and he's also battled with cancer during this time over the pandemic, during COVID. And so I'm really happy to share this story with you. Take a look. Don't forget that you can always go to my website, www.healthcoachmaya.com, so that we can book a free chat to see how we can improve your life, improve your nutrition, and, well, just take back your health. So I want to thank this morning the pastor of my church, Dr. Eddie Fernandes, for coming on because I've been wanting to interview him for a very long time about a significant change, like huge lifestyle change that he's made. And I wanted today to be about asking him questions about how he did this and why he did this. So right now, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Eddie Fernandes. And Eddie, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your health journey, over your whole life, really.
Over my whole life. Good morning, and thank you for the invitation. Good to be here. Over the course of my life, that's a very long life, but I would say that my health over the course of my life has always been a constant struggle with weight and weight loss. My mom was a very big lady. My brother Tony was a big boy. Later, my father became a big man. He wasn't always that way, but it seems to have been a tendency down my mother's family line. My sister struggled with weight her whole life and eventually did something about it very radically, I think. She became a complete vegan and changed her whole life. But as for me, I just battled with it my whole life. And my whole life has been one of in and out of gyms. I think I've been to every gym in our city, in and out of sport, in and out of different things, always trying to keep my weight down, but always fighting a losing battle, I'd say. It was always a constant struggle because being a very public figure as well and having a lot of social life, constantly being invited to people's homes, parties, restaurants, events, and that's a major struggle, especially when one likes steak and food and things like that.
Okay. So it sounds like there was a little bit of a genetic part to retaining weight and your battle with weight loss. So would you agree that maybe there is a genetic component for you?
I definitely agree. And while many probably would discredit that, and I know the arguments on the other side that discredit that and think it's mostly about lifestyle changes and that, I do think that many of us do have a predisposed genetic conditioning. And we not only see that with regards to weight. For example, I look at people like one of my son-in-laws. His family is very, very thin. And he eats double, triple what me or my daughter eat. And I see it from my daughter. She inherited that from me, one of my daughters. And he eats triple, but he never puts on weight, never. His metabolism is super fast and he just loses weight easily. We also see that, for example, from just the physical makeup, the way our bodies are made, the shape of our bodies. Sometimes you'll see that going down a family line. So that's why I believe firmly that genetics does play a big part into it. And some people just struggle and other people don't. So.
Yeah, okay. So with that in mind, can you maybe tell us what has not worked in the past for you?
I think one of the big things is just demotivation. It's because you battle so hard, and you put in the work and you train hard and you work hard and you eat, you starve yourself, you deprive yourself of so much. And while you look around and you see other people do less than a third of what you're doing, and they're losing extremely fast, and you're not losing. And after 3, 4, 5 months, you just say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so you give up, and then you start again, and then you give up and you start again. So it's a cycle that I think of demotivation, of not seeing the results as for the effort you're putting in, you're not seeing the comeback as easily. So I think that's the reason that I gave up many times over the past.
Okay, so it's funny that you bring that up. A lot of people always say that the mindset and the motivation piece is very important to when you're trying to change your lifestyle or whatever goal you really have. So, what made it click this time for you to actually make this significant change in your life?
Well, this time round, these moments of click have happened throughout my life. But then,
Okay.
of course, the motivation factor comes in, and that plays hard. This time, the click happened. I remember the day it happened. And Marta, my wife, she's physically active and very, very in shape. And she's been faithfully, she went faith before COVID pandemic. And when they closed all the gyms down, she was faithfully attending a local gym here in the town for about 10, 12 years, faithfully every day. 5 days a week. And she was always, come walk with me, come do this with me, come do that with me. And I was like, nah, you know, I'll watch you. It's fine. And then on January the 10th, 2021, I said, okay, let's go walk. And it was just like that click moment. I'm going to do this now. Let's go walk. And I began walking with her first up to my daughter Tehur's house. And in the beginning, I'd struggle and puff and pant, and I couldn't catch up with her. I wasn't even close to catching up with her. And slowly, I began to pick up the pace, began to walk more. And after about a week or two, I was already keeping pace with her. 3 weeks later, I was already out walking her completely. And then another thing that happened is I found a guy online called Dr. Abel Duzzi of Fit Father Project. And I subscribed to his program, and I said, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to do this program. And I dove into phase 1 of his program, 30X program. And I said, I'm going to do this. And I went through phase 1, and then I went into phase 2, and I was being really steaming ahead and doing all the stuff. I got so motivated. I built my own home gym down in my garage. I converted my garage into a home gym. And I think I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to stick to this. And then there was the diet piece, the nutritional piece, which is very, very important. And I just followed everything he was saying. And I said, I'm going to do it this time for my grandkids. I'm going to do this. My grandkids, I really want them to hang out with granddad. And of course, I besides the health problems, I had other health, besides the weight loss struggle, I had other health problems, major health problems, which caused me to demotivate as well. For example, I've been operated on my knee several times, and on one knee 2 times replacement, and other knee also operated meniscus and ligaments and you name it. And this result of motorcycle accidents, which is my big passion in life, motorcycling. So that didn't help. And then diagnosed with cancer twice over the last 2 years. That didn't help either. And then diagnosed with a thing called Chiari-1 malformation in the head. And so all these things just began to show up. And I thought, okay, I lost my brother, who was very young when he died. And I'll never forget the number that stuck in my head when he died. It was 140 kilograms. And I thought, wow, 140 kilograms. I'll never get to 140 kilograms. And then my mom died, and then my dad died. And I was like, okay, it's time to do something so that I can still hang around a little bit with my grandkids and play with them. And so that was a click moment, I think. And so all these things converged together. And of course,
Okay.
target weight, that really was scary, because my brother, that 140 from my brother stuck with me for all my life. It was like 140. How do you get to 140? And suddenly I was at 139.5.
Wow. So that's about 140, 140. That's almost like 300 pounds.
I haven't a clean pounds, but
Yeah, it's conversion by 2.2, but yeah, that's about 300 pounds. Wow. Okay.
yeah.
That would be a lot of weight to carry, especially on top of your knees, as you said. So, but that number you said stuck with you, and you got to 139 and a half.
Yeah. And that's when I decided right there, January 10th, 139 and a half. I can't get that 140. I must drop this.
Wow. So you touched on so many points there. I just want to maybe summarize a little bit. So you started with walking.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important because a lot of people think that they have to go full force into the gym.
Yeah.
and, start doing crazy workouts and this kind of stuff. So when you first started walking, was that enough for you, or did you feel like it was nothing significant?
Well, walking was the initial part of it, and it was very, very huge for me. It was wonderful because just the fact that I wouldn't be able to walk without my knees swelling up huge. So I wouldn't be able to do 2 kilometers without my knees suddenly just becoming this big mess of just folding up with liquids and whatever, and I just couldn't move afterwards. So walking was a very, very huge part. And as I began to walk more and more and more and see, hey, now I'm actually walking like 2Ks, 5Ks, 10Ks, 15Ks, 20Ks, it was like cool, exciting. I mean, I'd leave the house here and I'd walk down to the Paradão, do the whole Paradão, walk up
Well, maybe
to
you want to explain what that word is in,
the
in
Paradão
English.
is we call it the boardwalk. It's like
Yeah,
the boardwalk here on the side of the river where we
yeah,
live. It's
right.
the estuary of this river here.
Yeah.
And we walk all the way down that, and then we'd walk up the hill. And of course, COVID helped a lot because everybody was confined
Mhm.
and they would allow you out to exercise. And so the people out exercising could go out. And so we said, okay, let's do that. So we began to walk, and eventually we discovered new routes. We discovered incredible new nature scenes in our town that we never knew existed. We trailblazed new paths that we had never been before. And then that set an appetite for more. So then I discovered that there was going to be a swim challenge in Cascais Bay in the sea here. And I thought, well, that would be cool. I haven't swam like crazy. I live near the sea and I just don't swim in the sea. And so I said, I'm going to try that. So I began swimming then regularly to try and compete in the Cascais Swim Challenge. And 7 or 8 months later, there I'm in the water in the Cascais Swim Challenge, and I came third in my age group. So that was pretty cool.
That's very impressive. Yes, and I've been in the water with you. You are a very big man. Like you can you can get through the water pretty quickly. So you have a very big advantage when it comes to that, and you're a very good swimmer. So I'd have to agree. So moving on, I mean, you started walking and then you started swimming, and then you also mentioned you had so much motivation because you found like a group or a person who was maybe your targeted group. They were going after you and going in after men. And you related to this person and you listened to everything he said in the program that he offered you. Can you tell me what was relatable about the program he offered?
I think the most relatable is I'm 58 now in this month coming, and when you get to a certain age, you just can't do the things you used to do. It's just, I mean, I can't lift the weight I used to lift, and I mean, I used to lift big weight. I used to do massive weight in gyms, and it was always about the competition and doing more and trying to lift more, and the men thing, testosterone in the brain. And so that was a big thing for me, trying to compete in the gym. And this program said that's not what you need to be doing at your age. And so it was age appropriate. And it was also physical condition appropriate. And it was also physical health conditions. For example, if you have bad knees. So they tailor-made everything to you. And then they said, this is what works for you. And you work with this program and it becomes very individualized. And then they have a Facebook page
Mhm.
where you join, and then you've got the motivation of all the other men, and you're seeing what the other men are doing, and you're encouraging one another, you're holding each other accountable. So that was a big factor. But I think the most important factor for me in the Fit Fathers was for my age group. I
Mhm.
wasn't competing against guys, or I wasn't working with guys that were like half my age. These are all guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, so
Yeah.
you work according to your age group. And that was really, really cool to see guys that, in the States, there's some really big guys. I'm not big compared to some guys in the States. and
No, I mean, no, you're not big like this anymore. That's for sure. But uh,
yeah, but in the States, they're like this big,
like
and
tall, yeah, yeah.
so for me to see the transformation happening to some of these guys, it was like real motivational.
Okay. So then you mentioned, you had so much motivation that you built a home gym. And did you stop doing this program and start following something else? And did you start becoming more maybe independent in what you're doing now?
Yeah, completely. The program, even today, they said, hey, you want to re-up and everything? And I actually wrote back and said, hey, not yet, no. I still do a lot of when I really want to get back, if I like put on 2-3 kilos all of a sudden, then I say, okay, I hit that Apex 10, for example, and I'll knock off Apex 10 for 2 weeks, and boom, the weight just comes down. Okay, get back to my normal. I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still working towards it. But right now, my routine is very individualized to me. I've come up with my own thing. So I do walking still. I do swimming still in the sea. I do my own routines. I do a lot of HIIT training. I do now I've discovered this guy that's knees over toes. And so I made a box sled and I'm doing knees over toes and in my garage and going backwards. And then Miguel, your husband, put me onto bicycling. He was always nagging me about bicycling and cycling because I'm a biker.
Sure.
And you should bicycle. And I was like, bicycle. I've bicycled since I'm a young boy. And he was, you should do it. You should do it. And so eventually I said, okay. And he sent me this link and he said, check out this bicycle. And it was an e-bike. I thought, okay, an e-bike will be better because it helps a little bit. Sure. And so I went out and I got it. And so therefore now I ride, I swim, I walk, I do my individualized training. So it's all, I mix it, match it up. As long as I'm active and moving and burning, I think that's the most important. I'm not here to become a bodybuilder again. I'm not here I'm here just to stay in shape and stay healthy and be able to breathe easily and keep seeing the weight coming off. And so very shortly, I'll be going into another little stint where I'll try to still knock off a few more kilos and get to my target.
Okay, well, something really interesting that I wanted to ask you about is you mentioned that you actually got diagnosed with cancer over the past few years and during COVID. How did that contribute to your transformation?
Well, when they first told me I had cancer, I had my wife. Basically, one day I was asking about these things, this pigmentation thing, and I said, I'm going to get a dermatologist to check this out. And why is this skin discoloration happening to me here and here? And so I said, I'm going to check this out. And she said, hey, while you're there, ask him to check out that pimple on your back that you keep telling me to remove, and I don't want to touch it. So I said, okay, I'll check him out. So I went to him and I looked at this and he said, your mom had that. He was my mom's dermatologist in South Africa. Your mom had that. And it's just a thing that's going to happen to you. It's with the sun, with age. Don't worry about it. If you want it removed, we can, but just leave it. It's not any serious thing. So I said, thanks for that. And then I said, hey, check out this thing on my back and then tell me what that is. And I took off my shirt and he examined, and then he put this little microscope thing and this lens thing with light on it. And he said, Ed, I've got news for you. This is not a pimple. This is not anything of that nature. He said, I'm not going to say what it is yet because it needs to be biopsied and sent away. So we need to do a little bit of a surgery here. And I said, okay. So we booked it and we booked the surgery and they removed it. My wife actually went with me when they did the surgery because she never goes to surgeries. I've had many, many, many surgeries, all kinds. And she's gone. She's like, blood? No. But she went to this one, and when they cut it out, it was small like this, but it was extremely deep. And they sent it away. They removed it. They sent it away, and the result came back and said, look, it's cancer. It's malignant melanoma. And we need to now enlarge the area and see if we can catch it all or if it's spread and gone elsewhere. So we now need to do, in Portuguese, they call it alargamento do perímetro, enlargement of the perimeter.
Right, so you have to check out everything.
Yeah. So basically I went in and they carved out a huge chunk of my back, basically a really big chunk. And they just took this whole thing away and they sent that away, and it came back and it says, no, it's not one cancer, it's two cancers. And we believe that it has ramifications, and we're now looking for the genesis or the origin cells of this because there must be somewhere. And so they put me on, I went to the cancer hospital in Lisbon, EPR, and they started immunotherapy by injecting a drug called nivolumab into my body to begin treating this through the immunotherapy. But I had a massive toxic reaction to this drug and I landed up in hospital for 10 days and almost died. And basically it was just a terrific, horrible thing during COVID too. So I was COVID isolated in a ward and nobody could see me. My wife didn't see me for 10 days. You couldn't talk to me. There was no phones because everything was cut off. And And I was sitting there in that hospital, and eventually I managed to overcome this. The body managed to overcome this thing. And they said, look, we're going to try a new drug on you because this drug hasn't worked for you. The toxicity in it has really damaged many things we didn't expect. But there is a side effect percentage to this drug that we knew, and you're one of the ones that got hit hard with it. So we'll try another one. And I said, no, I'm not trying anymore. I'm done. I'm not doing any more immunotherapy. I'm going to do something else. And they said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'll figure it out. So then I figured out the Budwig treatment, and I began the Budwig treatment. And then, of course, that last year I had a motorcycle accident in France, in the Pyrenees, and then they found another cancer in the liver this time. And so I continued just Budwig treatment, exercise, and changing eating habits, and eliminating, for example, all soft drinks. I don't drink soft drinks. I eliminated white breads. I eliminated sugar. I eliminated a lot of things and changed that. And I've been going to the cancer hospital continuously, and they keep saying, hey, keep going, Ed. Something you're doing is right, because the two cancers in your the cancer in your liver has actually become benign, and it's not even malignant anymore. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what's happening there, but so that would work. Yeah.
Wow.
And then
I just want to interrupt you though. Before we go on, could you explain to people what Budwig treatment is? Because not many people know what that is before you continue.
Well, it comes from the lady's name. She was a really smart doctor, and then kicked out of the medical profession for coming up with alternative therapy treatment, and went through a really rough patch in her life as she was discredited and everything. Until today, many people don't accept the Budwig treatment as a form of treatment. But basically, it's all to do with nutrition. You can Google Budwig protocol or Budwig treatment. It's to do with nutrition, and she had an underlying premise that if you ate cork cheese and if you put flax or linseed oil mixed with it, and did this certain change to your diet, and the linseed oil would break through the cancer lining, the cells walls, and then the cork would get into the cancer cells and would eat away at the cancer cells. And so she had this whole protocol she came up with. And a friend of mine in the Algarve put me onto it. He had cancer, and he came out of it, and he said, Ed, try this. And I said, come on, this is crazy. And I said, okay, I'll try it. I'll try anything. So basically, I tried it. And I've been on it, and I'm on it till today. Just this morning, I had cork cheese with linseed oil on a toast, and that was my breakfast. So something must be working, because I keep going. I've got 5 years to go at the cancer hospital before they release me. I'm on my 3rd year, I believe. And so another 2 years, and they keep monitoring, but they keep doing blood tests. I do a PET scan every 3 months as they keep looking for this originating cells, and till today they haven't found it. So
okay. Right. Sorry for cutting you off. I just wanted people to know what Budwig was. Anyway, you were continuing talking about after the treatment, after doing Budwig. Where are you right now in your health journey, and what is keeping you motivated?
Well, where I'm right now, I'm a very expensive place in my life, because my wife refuses to let me wear any of my clothes. She says, you don't wear those clothes. So she said, you preach, you look like a bag. And she says, take those clothes. So I had a choice, either get a new wardrobe or take in my clothes. So I took it to a seamstress in our building, and she's basically taking on all of my clothes, and I'm doing it at a rate of 2-3 pants a week and 2-3 shirts a week. And she's taking all of my clothes and taking them down. So that's a good thing. It's taking about 4 fingers out of each pair of pants and the shirts.
That's a
so
lot.
About 4 fingers taking off. Yeah.
Wow.
So she's tucking that all in. And I told her, you're going to have to do this again when I lose another 10. So I don't know why we're doing this, but my wife insists. So that's where I am. The motivation is actually to see the shirts that are mended now growing in the closet, and the pants that are mended. And also to see, I think one of the motivations is just to be able to keep doing a lot of this exercise, which sometimes even my grandkids come over, or my daughters come over, and they watch us train. Mom and I train together many times, and they watch us, and they just watch a little bit, and they say, that freaks us out, because I'm like dripping sweat and just doing this crazy stuff, like 45 minutes, HIIT training. And they're like, you nuts. And I love it.
So would you say that from the time you started on January 10th, 2021, up until now that your motivation has increased and that your capacity to do other things, whether it's in the gym or do sports that you've never tried before, has also increased?
Of course, absolutely. A year ago, my favorite activity was to get home and sit on the couch,
Okay.
just vegetate on the
I
couch.
like
And
sitting on the
I'm
couch.
Yeah, but me, it was, being in ministry, I'm always on to different events and that. Now, when we come home from events and that, we say, okay, listen, we've got to go walk. We got to go swim. We got to go do something. We've been vegetating too long now. We've done a day without gym or a day without walking. So now it's not even a day. So every day we have to do something, whatever it is, we have to do something. So we get out there and we do something. We go for a walk, or we go for a swim, or we go riding. So I go riding. She doesn't ride
Yeah.
bicycles, but she'll like walk, and then I'll meet her at different places. So, or we go down to the gym together and we just knock out. We turn on the TV. We've got a TV in the garage now in the gym, and we'll follow somebody. It doesn't have to be Fit Fathers. We can find. We've done many walk at homes. We do to follow different people, and we do their program, and it's really cool because we mix it up, and there's such a diversity of offer online today. It's incredible. You can have something for everyone.
So really, there's no excuses. I mean, for the people that are going to be listening to this podcast, it sounds to me like you've gotten to the point where there's just no excuse anymore, and we have easy access to so many things that why wouldn't you try?
Yeah, I think I think for me the big thing, and I come back to it. I have 7 grandkids, and so just to what's my why? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Uh, and my why is I'm doing this for my grandkids, because they're always saying, Vovo, let's do this, Vovo, let's do that. And, I remember growing up, I was an outdoors person and camping and hiking and doing all of this. I was an adrenaline junkie. I used to dive off bridges and do all the crazy sports, rafting, and you name it. I used to scuba diving. I was into all of it. And I thought, wow, I want my grandkids to experience that. But who are they going to experience that with? So, because their dads are not adrenaline junkies. So I thought they're going to do this with War. It's pretty cool. So, when they come over, I want them to go camping with me. I want them to ride motorcycles. I bought them a little motorcycle already. And so I want them to do this fun stuff. And so I want to do it with them, and I want to come puffing and panting behind them and can't keep up. Now I can actually keep up with them. So uh, it's incredible how much energy these little children have, and just to keep running with them and doing all this stuff, it's going to be fun.
Right. That's a very good point that you made. The question is, what is your why? But I would have to say that a lot of people that I've encountered and that I've helped is they come with a really big why, and it's usually for them it's some kind of body transformation. I want to lose 10 kilos, but then they don't stick to the original why, and they run out of motivation. So how did you come to the conclusion that your biggest why was your grandchildren?
Yeah, I think when we make a why, I've made the why of I want to change my body, I want to lose my weight so many times. When it was about me, it's not as successful, I think. I
Hmm.
think when it's about others, and when the impact your life can have on others. Now, the legacy I want to leave my grandchildren, how do I want them to remember Vovo? I don't want them to remember Vovo as the guy who was sitting on the couch there at 140 kilograms. I want them to remember Grand Vovo as the guy who went with them places, took them places, and did exciting things with them, and played with them and ran with them. And that's what I want. As they're growing up, they'll remember those things. So it goes beyond yourself. I think that if you to get that motivation, and then to keep that motivation, is to know that 2 months from now I'll be fitter than I am now.
Hmm.
Now I can swim a K and a half, 2Ks,
Yeah.
but I'd like to get to the place of swimming 3, 4, 5Ks. I'd like to get to the place of not walking. I can't still run. That's something
That's
I still can't
okay.
do.
That's
I
okay.
can't run because my knees just get shot really if I try to run.
I think
But
walking
now
is just as effective. So, yeah.
I'm hoping that this guy that now I'm following, this knees over toes guy, is gonna that really works, and it restores my knees, because if that does, there. Soon I'll be running too. So that'll be a plus.
Right. And the whole thing there is, a lot of people probably don't know about knees over toes, but when you're doing any kind of a lunge, or like you're working on the hinge, you have personal trainers that say, make sure that when you do your squat, when you do your lunge, that your knee isn't going beyond the line of the toes, which is completely wrong, because what you want to do is be able to strengthen this part. So by going over the toe line, you're actually strengthening around your knees. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I'll have to interview you again in 6 months and see where you're at with that. Okay.
Well, let me tell you what. I thought, how do I get a sled? Because this guy, he uses it and he pulls this heavy sled, and this is a very hefty thing, but you can't get that in Portugal. So in the middle of the night, I was thinking, I had a vision, kind of. I said, I know what I'm going to do. You know those old matrimonial trunks that made of wood.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had like 6 or 7 of those, and I told my children, my daughters, I said, listen, this is your grandmother made this for you, and it's sitting in my garage, and I got like 7 of them. I'm going to sell them all, or you take them all. And they were filled with stuff my mom had made for each grandchild.
Okay.
Yeah, and for each grandchild. And so I thought, wow, you've got to get rid of this, because this is in my home gym. So they said, okay, Dad, we'll come over. Then they said, Dad, just get rid of it. We don't want it. It's old school. It doesn't work with our modern homes, etc. So I said, okay, I'm selling them off. So I sold them all off and got rid of them. But I kept one because it was right. It's really heavy, and it's like one of these. It's an antique thing. It's really cool looking.
Like a trunk, right?
Yeah, it's a trunk, a massive trunk. And I decided to put stuff in it and keep stuff in the garage. And so in the middle of the night, I had this vision, and I thought, okay, if I put wheels on the bottom of this thing, and I put a rope around the sides, and I drill through, and I make this, and I fill it with weight, man, that'll be something to pull. And so one morning I got up, I did all this, I put the wheels on the bottom, swivel wheels, and I put the weight in it, I drilled through the box, I made these things that you use to pull down the blinds, those cords, I bought that, and I put it around, and then I began pulling this thing. And now I'm pulling it with my grandkids come over, they sit on top and they go for rides down the garage as I'm doing this backwards. I put my wife on it. I put my daughter on it. Anybody can just sit on it besides all the weight in it. So it really makes a massive difference. And I've got my own sled. There we go. I'm pulling.
Wow. Yeah. You only usually see those sleds like at a CrossFit gym or something like that. So that's very innovative of you. Wow. Amazing.
A lot of this stuff I just make myself, I get the idea, and then I go out and I just make it, and I think, okay, there we go.
Creative, and you're not spending a ton of money. So that's the great part. Amazing. Wow. Well, I want to maybe wrap it up here and summarize a little bit about what we spoke about. So you have worked very hard in the past year to lose a certain amount of weight. How much have you lost?
30.5.
30.5 kilos. Wow, that's 62 pounds. That's a lot. Wow, that's like a small little child that you lost, basically. It's incredible. Wow.
None of my grandkids weigh that, so.
You also have changed your diet. You have increased your exercise. That has changed your metabolic rate, your metabolism, and everything. And one important thing that you said is that it's not really about you. It's about the people around you and the environment around you. And that was one of the biggest motivating factors to your why, because it affects your family and your grandchildren. Now, just before we go, could you tell us maybe a little bit more about what your diet looks like today? You mentioned you don't have soda, sugars, or white bread. And is it easy to stay away from those foods, or are you flexible with it?
Okay. Before I wrap and say that to you, let me just mention that I think one of the problems that I haven't lost weight faster as well, because given what I'm doing, I should be losing a lot more, I think. I struggle massive with sleep, and I think sleep is a huge component in losing weight. And I've had a lifelong struggle with sleep. So I am a chronic insomniac. So that's terrible. And I just don't know how to beat that. I've tried everything. I've been to all the sleep therapies and all the clinics, and I've done that. So that if I could get that right, I think that would make a massive difference. With regards to the food side of it, The sodas and that is not a problem at all for me. I don't miss the sodas and the Fantas and the Coca-Colas and all of that. I'm not rigid to the point I'll never have one. So if like 3 months down the line I can have a Coke, it means nothing to me. But I just don't need it as part of my daily diet. One of the things that I could never do is get away from the sugars, in the sense, I'm not a sweet tooth. I'm more of a salt person. But one of the things, I couldn't have coffee, for example, without a huge pack of sugar in it.
Okay.
Now that's gone. So I have my black. So I couldn't do without bread. Now bread is a very rarity in our home. Even yesterday, I brought some. I went past the Padaria, a bakery, coming on the way home, and it smelled so good. And I said, let me take some bread. So I bought Cominho bread, or whatever they call it. It's just, yeah, it's got something in it. What's it called?
It could be cumin.
I said I want the healthiest bread you have, because he was just making
seeds or something.
Yeah, it's got tons of seeds in it. It's really nice.
Okay.
So he said, yeah, this is really healthy bread. And I said, okay, cool. So we brought that. But otherwise, bread is gone. And I actually do miss it. I do miss bread, especially that nice pão alentejano. So I won't be inflexible. So if I get a craving, like a week or two, I get a craving, I'll get some. But I will not have it regular, like as part of my daily lifestyle. It's not there. And then I've cut down beer, for example. I was a huge beer drinker. I don't drink beer. Beer's gone. Yeah. So I'll have red wine if I need. I don't do beer anymore. Alcoholic drinks, very, very little, besides the red wine. And those are things that I've perfectly learned to live without. It's like, it doesn't bug me. There's no craving for it or whatever. It's just gone. And so we've become I've become, because Martha's always been. So I've become much more of an eater like her. She has a lot of healthy stuff. She's always making healthy stuff. And so I've enjoyed that. So to me, just the pure enjoyment of eating like a salad. I was like, give me a break. Crickets. Yeah. And I was like, I don't do salad. I do steak. Now I eat salads and I invent and I make all kinds of cool stuff with salads and soups.
You can put steak on your salad.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's really interesting. You mentioned cutting out certain types of alcohol, reducing on sugar intake, maybe reducing on bread intake, because it seems like it was little things in different areas that actually added up, possibly to the extra weight, maybe being a little bit more sedentary than usual, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I know that those foods, specifically the sugar and the soft drinks, for example, I know that those things by eliminating them, I know that it's had a profound influence on the way I live, because things had a negative impact on me, especially the sodas. So now, by not having it and the sugars, it's made wonders for me.
Just an extension back to the sleep, because I didn't think about mentioning that. Did your sleep improve at all with the diet change, or honestly, it didn't really?
No, sadly, this is, again, my mom, I remember her night after night being sitting awake. And I think I inherited, me and my one daughter, we've inherited it all down the family line, my mom. So it's a chronic problem in my whole family, really, on my side of the family, this sleep thing. And then, of course, I sleep next to a lady that the minute that she hits the pillow, she's gone and she doesn't remember anything. And so it's kind of aggravating, because you sit through the night and then my wife is like out like a lamp. And I have always had a struggle. So I can't really say that the diets and the lifestyle changes affected the sleep. I can't say that at all.
Yeah.
I think the problem in the mind, in the brain somewhere, there's something that's not working and they haven't diagnosed that. I don't know if medical science will eventually get to people like me and figure out why we don't sleep. But I take heart, because our president of the republic sleeps just as badly as I do. So,
yeah, those politicians.
Marcelo tells me if he gets 3-4 hours a night, he's fine. So that's my kind of man. If I get 3 hours, I'm really happy.
Oh, wow. We're going to have to chat about your sleep afterwards, though. So see what we could do.
Yeah, I'll tell
Okay.
you what, there's only one thing that works for me and gives me some remedy and I've tried everything. I've tried all the drugs on the market you can imagine, but it's only Zolpidem. That's the only thing I've tried.
Zolpidem helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Only.
sometimes we got to be honest, we got to go the medical route because not all of these natural supplements or natural interventions are going to
The
help.
natural ones, melatonins, everything, and just doesn't work. I can take a whole box.
That means you metabolize it really quickly and your body just excretes it quickly. So that's the problem. Well, Eddie, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us about your gigantic transformation. And know that we're already like 1 year into your transformation. So it's taken, time. And people need to have the foresight to see themselves down the road. Um, do you have any last words of advice or last comments that you might want to add to help people get started on this journey? Whether it's for, changing body composition or just improving your health overall.
Well, I think the most important that I would say to people is, you know, we've got to persevere, because when you struggle with weight like I do, and like many people do their whole lives, there's no quick fix to it. There's no way to escape the sacrifice, the pain, the work that you've got to put in. There's just no way. There's no substitute for that. And no amount of fad diets and stuff that people promote is not going to work. There's some things that work, and what works is you've got to burn more calories than you consume, period. You've got to be burning the calories. You've got to be putting in the exercise and making sure that what you're putting into your body, you're getting rid of it just as fast or faster. So you've got to have that calorie deficit, others are not going to work. So for example, if I'm consuming 2,500 calories a day and I want to lose weight, well then I've got to burn 3,000 to get into a deficit mode and start burning more. And so that's an important thing. People have got to do that, and then they've got to stick to that. You've got to stick to it and make exercise a friend. Don't make it's not people look at exercising and, oh, what a big drag. Make it a friend. Look at it as a fun thing. And we've got to discover amazing places in our city we would never have found. And now just to walk, and the pure joy of walking, which I never understood from Martha, she was like, I miss walking by the sea. I said, what do you miss walking? Now I can understand, it's pretty cool to be out there. And when I don't go out, I go, yeah, I got to get back in the water. I got to get back, do something. So you get to miss it. So the perseverance, stick to it until it really becomes a lifestyle. So I've been a year into it now. I'm going into my second year, and it's now becoming a lifestyle, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
Amazing. Okay. One last question, actually, because you just sparked this in my head. Now, you don't have to be a fantastic cook or cook anything complicated, do you, in order to be able to stick to your goals?
No, because the stuff that will keep your weight off is actually very simple to make. It's not complex at all. If you want to put on the weight, then you're going to make complex foods, and but if you want to take off the weight, and if you want to do it well, you can. If people don't have time to cook and that, you can actually sit and make just a batch of it at the front end of your week or at the end of your week, and then freeze it and put in the freezer, and then just quickly take it out and use it. And it's stuff that's really easy to make. And there's so much fresh produce and vegetables and all of that one can do. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So those are things that people can do, and make it really, really easy. So the losing weight food is simple. And even if you go to restaurants, the making the right choice. And, it's very easy to look at that wonderful dish, but it's loaded with fat and whatever, and say, no, I'm going to go for that lean fish, or I'm going to go for this plate, and make it exciting and enjoy food. I think that one of the things now, it's starting to enjoy food. It's not just gulping it down, and no, begin to taste it, savor it, and take your time about it.
Wow, that's really, really important, because a lot of us do just wolf down our food really quickly, and we don't take the time to enjoy it.
Enjoy the bites and break it down before it enters your body. Yeah.
Yep. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. This is the fourth episode of my podcast, so I don't know what the reach will be, but I'm sure we'll post this, and people just around us in our community will see the big difference that you've made in your life and how it's impacted others and the family around you. So thank you
I
so
think
much.
that's a big one. That's a
Yeah.
big one because in the church, everybody is always, "Oh, look at you," and the comments of people, "Look at you, you've changed completely." So that's cool.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And we will be reporting back in a few months to see if you've made some progress with the knees over toes, and if you're seeing the fingers dropping. Cool. Well, thank you so
All
much.
right, thanks, Maya. Appreciate being on with you.
Thank you.